Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Salt and Pepper Unleashed. This ain't your grandma's nursing home. In fact, the name for the show, Salt and Pepper, came about as we thought of the population we've been serving at Greenwood Village South for 62 years. These are older adults who have recently retired or are thoughtfully planning for retirement, possibly with salt and pepper hair themselves, and they are ready for resort living. They're unleashing themselves from the burden of home maintenance and repairs, homeowners insurance, property taxes, utility bills, cooking, cleaning, and so much more. They're ready to embrace a carefree lifestyle in a luxury residence with state-of-the-art amenities. They're picking local and they're staying local. But salt and pepper has another meaning as well. In an article entitled Finding Flavor in Differences, Embracing Salt and Pepper Relationships from Medium.com, a salt and pepper relationship can manifest in a variety of ways. It can refer to differences in age, race, culture, or personality. The key characteristic of a salt and pepper relationship is that the partners are vastly different from each other. They may have different perspectives, experiences, or even values. Despite these differences, they're able to connect and complement each other in a way that feels natural and effortless. The salt and pepper community members at Greenwood Village South combine to create the perfect seasoning. I'm pleased to be joined by Mike and Judy Dietrich, who have been Greenwood Village South residents since January of 2015, so pretty close to 10 years now. They've been married for 54 years and have 2 children. Judy is a retired teacher, and Mike served in the Army National Guard for 30 years. So thank you so much for your service, and welcome to you both on the show.
Thank you.
So we're going to start off with a few different questions here. You know, I am fortunate enough to know some of your story, but I'm excited to dive in and get a little more detail here. So just to kind of break the ground, I am curious to know, what were the conversations like between the two of you when you were first considering retirement and what that stage of life looked like?
Well, for me, growing up, I lived with my grandparents, and I always liked being around old people. So I saw my grandparents age. I saw them go in nursing homes, and so it was not a shock to me that is the normal progression. And so as I grew up, or as we worked here in Greenwood, we lived here 40 years, I drove a church bus, and we came to Greenwood Village. I drove once a month, picked up people here, and I thought, someday I just might be here myself. So that was really my thoughts about retirement. I figured I would be in a community like this, a senior community, and it was no surprise when the day came that here we are. So that was kind of my thinking.
And my thinking was completely different. Thinking of retirement meant not working full time, and retiring together when both of us would be retired, that we could spend time together. I didn't even in my younger years, and even in my 50s, I didn't think about moving into a senior community. I thought during our retirement we would travel and see things and do things together and spend time with grandchildren. And Mike would golf. That's life, is golf. And I would sew and do things. But just thinking about retirement, it was all the things that we could do when we are able to do what we can do.
So it sounds like you're alluding to retirement being a stage in life in which you have control to engage in the things that are most meaningful and life-filling for each of you.
Yes.
And so I'm curious, that was the kind of the perception of retirement for you, as being able to do all those things. How has the move to GVS panned out in terms of being able to accomplish what those dreams were?
Wonderful.
I love it. One word.
Well, because when we travel, and we've been here, this is our 10th year. I'm claiming we're in our 10th. And when we travel, we don't worry about a thing. We don't worry about a Our house, our cottage is checked routinely, and we have people that will come in and walk through the house, make sure everything inside is okay. So we can just leave our home without any worry, without any concern. If we would like a ride to the airport, we could schedule a bus. That makes it easier. That's nice. If we don't want to cook the night before we're traveling, we can come to the Orchard Dining Room or have a heavy lunch at the bistro. So retirement is wonderful here because of all the services that we have that make activities easier for us. And that's enough for now.
Well, I was going to say, so it sounds like, it seems like you're painting this picture that you've not only been able to accomplish what you dreamt of in retirement, it's been even better than you thought of, which I have my little funny story is, I think it was probably third grade. It was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I had cracked the code in third grade. I said, everyone's saying I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a doctor. And I said, I want to retire. Because I saw what that looked like, and it looked pretty good. So, moving on then, okay, so that was retirement. Now, what about the decision-making process to moving to a senior community, and specifically Greenwood Village South? And don't spill the beans yet on the decision-making day of Greenwood Village South, but just the process of, okay, now this is retirement, now this is retirement at a senior living community. So what that process look like?
Well, as we approached retirement, we began to realize there were retirement communities, over 55 senior communities, and we visited some. And then we decided, well, really, we're going to stay here in Southside Indianapolis. We've worked here 40-plus years, and our children are here, grandchildren. So we looked around and actually went down to Franklin, looked at the two continual care facilities there, and of course, having been to Greenwood Village, but not really understanding the independent living aspect, that was pretty big for me. It's like, wow, this is a nice way to transition from home ownership and all that entails to maintenance-free living and independent living. That was the process I think we went through, and so we chose Greenwood Village.
So, obviously he was exposed on a regular basis, driving the bus for the church and coming here once a week and kind of, scratching the surface. Right. What was your exposure and learning process when it came to senior living?
My exposure and process, I remember a date, in 1994, the year our daughter was married and out of the house, and our son was out of the house, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I wasn't retired yet. What am I going to do with my time and not cry? And so I told the church, I said, I want a person to visit. I need a person in my life. And a woman her name was Pauline. And they said, I think you'll be a good match for Pauline. She lives in Greenwood Village South. And we would ask that you would visit her once a month, spend maybe an hour with her, and get to know her. That's all we're asking, if it's a good fit. So I made an appointment with Pauline, and she lived in the Arms, and I'd never stepped inside the building, never. And we just became friends immediately. She was a registered nurse, retired, and she had a sense of humor, and we just really enjoyed each other's company. And so I came in 2 weeks later and visited with her again, and then we agreed that I'd visit her weekly. So I was able to walk through the independent apartments in the Arms and just get a feel for things. After about a year and a half, Pauline moved into the pavilion, and she needed more care. And she asked me to please come visit me during dinner time, because I just would like someone to talk with over dinner. So I did that. I was able to sample food. I was able to see how the food service worked in the skilled nursing area. I saw the different levels of residents there. And I purposefully visited Pauline maybe in the morning, maybe in the afternoon. Pauline didn't know when I would be coming. I would surprise her. And I wanted to surprise staff. And for the next year, there was never a time that I saw less than exceptional care for Pauline and an excellent venue. And I visited with her until she passed. So I told Mike, I said, oh, if we could ever live in Greenwood Village South, I would like that based on what I've witnessed in the apartments and in the pavilion. And then when we spoke to some residents, some church folk who lived here, we learned about long-term care. And Mike nor I knew that existed. So
I've got to share as you're telling this and you're introducing us to Pauline, knowing who you are, I almost chuckled when I heard once a month, because I knew that you immediately made a relationship and definitely visited Pauline more than once a month. And so it sounds like that was an accurate depiction. But I love the fact that you mentioned, not just surprising Pauline, which, is a bright spot in folks' day when, you have a loved visitor coming, and but doing it for staff too. It's interesting in interviews, job interviews, or a superficial relationship of any kind. Anyone can put on a show for a set amount of time when they know it's showtime, but showing up at random times over the course of a year or better, and experiencing the same care all the time is truly a testament to the staff that provide that care. And we definitely have some very gifted, compassionate individuals that do that every single day. So that's awesome. So so now shifting, you moved in at some point 10 years ago ish.
Yes.
So what did that look like? What did the kind of the decision-making sales process look like? And I already know what the story is, and I love it. So I'm going to let you tell it.
Me?
well, do you want to tell it
we
or
did.
shall I? You tell your version.
We had been
and I'll tell
attending
mine.
the luncheons, Judy especially. You go. And I thought, well, we'll be at Greenwood Village. Maybe when I'm 70, 75, there'll be a... So I actually came to a few luncheons, so I was comfortable. And then we came and visited a house. Karen called, and we looked. There were 2 or 3 available, and we looked. And I think the second or third one we looked at is like, oh my gosh, this house is pretty nice on Geneva Drive. And I just looked around and thought, if we don't move now, this house will not be available for years and years. And so that was my decision point. I said, Judy, we're coming here a little earlier, but people told us that's what we should do, so let's do it. And that was the decision. So I guess I'm easy. I'm an easy sell, but a big sunroom really helped.
Yeah,
It really helped.
It was the
absolutely.
I
right
love the
cottage.
view, and it was just beautiful. I thought I could really kick back in a lazy boy and fall asleep in this sunroom.
And he
on a
has
nice
the
sunny
lazy
day.
boy in the sunroom.
Does he fall asleep?
Yes.
3 o'clock every day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Except for Fridays, right?
That's true. Happy hour.
Happy hour.
Fridays you
hour.
can't fall asleep at
And
3.
not, I'd be in big trouble.
You gotta be over here for happy
Yeah,
hour.
Mike has a routine. Golf, nap, happy hour.
That
That's very
sounds
important.
like a phenomenal routine, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, in here we can have happy hour as many times a week as we want.
Every hour is happy hour if you want it to be. Yeah.
Well, Mike, when I was, as he said, I had been visiting, I came to events at Greenwood Village South for about 5 years with a friend of mine who said, you've got to come see this place. And I have a friend who lives there, and come to the marketing event. So I went, and it was great. Good food, good activity. And Mike kept saying, why are you going? Why are you going? We're not going to move this soon. And I said, I'm going to see what it's like and to see the living options. I want to see different types of apartments during the Parade of Homes. What are the different sizes? What are the different locations? And I want to get to know the marketing team so I get to know some of the employees. So that was okay. So then he agreed. He said, we're not moving till we're 70. Well, we signed our paperwork when we were 66.
Uh-oh.
That
a little
was
earlier.
Oh yeah. And I said, Mike, there's a 2 to 3 year waiting period. We just need to put our money down to get on a list for a cottage. That's what we wanted. And because that was there were no flat options at that time. And so I said, look, can we just get our name on the list? Well, okay, we could do that. That was in July.
Okay.
And
So name on a list for a cottage in July, thinking we'll just put it on there and
it's
we'll
on there
wait.
a couple of years.
And then Karen called you
In September.
Okay, so July to September.
And she said, Judy, we have 3 homes available. I said, well, Mike's not ready, but I'd like to see them. She said, just come on over and see him. No pressure. If you say no, you look at him and you walk away. I said, okay, put us down. And then I talked to Mike, and Mike said, why would we do that? And I said, well, and here I did. I pulled a trump card. I said, Mike, it's in your mind to move when we're 70. Do you think if the Lord spoke to you, you just might move sooner? And he said, yeah, that'll work. I said, okay, we'll go. As he said, the last home we saw of the 3 was the one that we now live in. And Karen and I laughed because Mike went in the front door. And boy, he zipped through. By the time Karen and I got into the living room, Mike was nowhere to be found. And I'm standing in the living room saying, this is the house. And Karen said, you need to look at the bathrooms. You need to look at the laundry. And I said, no, this is it. And then Mike came in the back door. He said, this is it. We'll never find this setting again. So he was more surprised than anyone that he made the decision to be here.
So God spoke to you in the form of a beautiful sunroom that you could just imagine basking in, and that's a good way to get your message, I guess.
Well,
It's a very nice setting.
he found a place that he was comfortable.
And all the homes are charming, but this particular setup was really nice. It's like, why wait 2 or 3 years and risk never getting it?
Absolutely.
Just do
And those 3 cottages that opened up at that time, there's so much ebb and flow when it comes to availability. But here we are, 10 years later, we've added almost 30 cottages to campus, and the wait list at this point is 3, 4, 5, 6 years long potentially. So kudos to you for simply putting a plan in place and being ready when the time was right and the opportunity presented itself, and then knowing that this is an opportunity of potentially a lifetime, and you've been able to have the control over what that life looks like and what your circumstances look like, and you've been able to not just envision but really realize what retirement should look like for most folks when they really are able to leave the burdensome things behind and engage in those the things that are enriching to us. So I just love the story of you entered in and then you met in the living room and everyone said this is it. So I love that every time I hear it. So I'm curious to know. You said I would imagine National Guard. You moved a little bit.
Not too much. I was mostly here in Indiana, Camp
Okay.
Atterbury and Stoutfield.
Okay.
So this is, again, a perfect location, Greenwood. I really didn't have to move or deploy. It was
Outside of
great.
it, yeah.
Just traveled to different, job sites or
Yeah.
work sites, offices. But
Well, and that's really what I wanted to talk about. So we're uniquely situated near downtown Greenwood. So I was curious, how important was the city of Greenwood to and what it offers in terms of making your decision, and why should Johnson County and the surrounding areas be ones that residents should consider and make Greenwood as their home?
again, having lived here in the Greenwood area,
1972, we
been
moved here.
52 years now. We like the south side, and so we didn't really want to move north, east, or west. We like Greenwood. We've actually lived in Marion County, so we've got a little taste of that. We lived in Southport for a while. So why move elsewhere? We like Johnson County. It's a growing community. There's everything to do here. It's easy to get around. It's easy to leave town or go downtown. And it's, for me and Judy, it's ideal. And like I said, our children live within 7 or 8 miles of here. Grandkids. So this is our home. This is our final stops.
Yeah.
Well, Greenwood is a wonderfully large, small city.
Yeah.
And there's open space. Open space. Greenwood Village particularly, the green space appealed to us. And Craig Park is just over the pedestrian bridge and a very beautiful venue. It has expanded and improved significantly in the last couple of decades. Greenwood has, they've always had good services. We lived in Greenwood for 8 years prior to moving into Marion County, and we just like this style of living. If we want more country, we can go down to Franklin. We can go down to, we're close to Kentucky. We can get to Kentucky about as quickly as we can get to north up over to Carmel.
Yeah.
And if we want downtown, it's only about 20 minutes away. We have interstates right around the corner. Of course, Greenwood Park Mall has every type of shopping opportunity we would want. And it's just, it had a country feel right next to the city.
Yeah. I'll be honest, that was the allure when my family and I moved to town. It was outside of the city, both growing up in a rural area and having that the natural affinity to that, and knowing that that's within an arm's reach, with the interstate and accessibility to relatives and loved ones being in arm's reach in every direction, and downtown and all the shopping and venues and restaurants being within arm's reach. It's really nestled in kind of the perfect location. So I would have to agree with that. And I'm not a 52-year resident of Greenwood, so that's pretty awesome. So we've talked about the past and getting us to this point and the decision. I'm curious to know, what excites you the most about the future of Greenwood Village South? And you're well aware we've got big plans that we've been executing on over the last several years and continue to execute on, with kind of the biggest plan coming up starting in the next year here. What excites you the most about that growth and the change and evolution of Greenwood Village South?
Well, having lived here for a while and learning how things run, it's very comforting to know that LCS manages Greenwood Village. I've learned about all of that. So it's a well-run facility. There is future plans in place. We've seen some of them executed with 29 new expansion homes. And now we have April Drive opening up. And so it's always been this, things are going to get better, and they are. It's not like the other way where things stay the same or get worse. So it's a growing community. It's always looking a little bit out in the future, and that's good. So we look forward to new improvements. We're not sure what they'll all be or when they'll be here, but they're coming.
And as Mike said, with LCS being our managing umbrella, Greenwood Village South is looking to the future and to future residents, and I'm excited about that. We are about at our max in filling. Occupancy is very high. And a question, do we build more cottages? Do we expand the apartments? But looking to the future with a company that LCS knows national trends. So the flats, that's what the future retirees are going to want. And what's going to be built out front will be beautiful green space, walking space, outdoor living space, communal outdoor living space. And currently with our cottage, we have a beautiful patio, and we have the orchard green in our backyard and a pagoda. But with the expansion, with the flats, we're going to have communal outdoor living as seen in magazines, newspapers, videos, and preparing for the future rather than just staying with what's worked in the past. But we have to think of those who are in their 40s now and in their 50s and 60s and perhaps move here sooner with a new style of living here, completely new style.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
And I am benefiting from this because the communal outdoor living space is mine.
Yeah, it is.
The community is mine. When I first moved here, I was called a cottage resident. And I think maybe you were one who said, no, you're not a cottage resident. You're a resident of Greenwood Village South and you live in a cottage. And that's the truth. And the Arms belongs to me. When I come here, it's my sitting room. It's my fireplace. This is my home. And that outdoor living space will be mine. And Mike and I are really excited about meeting more and more new people. We love meeting new people.
And I have to give it to both of you. You are both phenomenal at welcoming people. And anytime someone moves, it's a transition. Moving to a senior living community is a big transition. And it can be overwhelming. It can be stressful. It can be daunting. But knowing that folks are moving into a community where the people that currently live here are going to not only welcome them with open arms, but truly embrace them and help them engage. I think it's phenomenal when new folks move in. It doesn't matter in what level of care and what setting. You're a prime example, but there's many others that just pull them in and get them going immediately. I always relate it to kind of a humorous analogy here, related to showing up to a party late. Everyone's already having fun. They've already engaged, maybe had a cocktail or two, and you show up late and everyone's got their little conversations going and their jokes and a drink or two, and you just kind of feel like a wallflower. How do I get in this? And then your friend comes over and says, Judy, come on over here. I want to introduce you to so-and-so. And then immediately you're part of kind of this thriving engagement opportunity. And it's the same thing here. I love that about the two of you. You're both phenomenal at that. So kudos to you and thank you for all that you do with that. So you've kind of alluded to it in a couple different instances, but if you were to give advice to other seniors who are starting to have that conversation and contemplation of moving to a senior living community, what would be some of the things that you say, hey, you probably aren't thinking about this, but you need to?
You go first this time.
I would first say you need to learn what continual life care is. That's the first education you need to receive. Because there are many senior communities, all kinds, that have wonderful activities and campuses. But what is continual life care? So that is very important. For Mike and me, we know that we've made the move here, and this is where we're living our life. We're living our life here today and for the rest of our years and our days. So I wouldn't consider anything other than continual life care. And then get online and look up the venues and read the reviews. Read professional reviews, not just resident reviews. Resident reviews are wonderful, but often we can get any kind of a response we want. But look for professional reviews and make sure that it's an outstanding facility and it has a history of good care. So,
when you say professional reviews, are you referring to the employees themselves?
I'm sorry, J.D. Powers.
Okay. So, true national recognition.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. And with that, I would say though too, I think it's important for folks to, looking at one perspective can give you some information, but looking at multiple perspectives from different vantage points is always beneficial. I love the fact that when you look at Greenwood Village South, and it's not just any moment in time, it's over the course of a long period of time, all those vantage points have a very similar perception, and it's highly engaged, highly satisfied. And when you see that so consistently, and you see the accolades and the awards and the 5-star, it's simply reassuring to know that all those things that were promised to you when you moved in are happening all the time in every aspect of the community. And so I know that's a huge factor in terms of my peace of mind, being responsible for the community. I have a feeling it's probably just as much, if not more, of a factor of your peace of mind as a resident of the community.
Absolutely.
So what else? What other advice?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, consider coming here sooner than maybe you think you should, which means start investigating, like Judy said. Look at the facilities around this area, if this is going to be your area. Look at affordability issues. I tell people there's always nicer places. You can go to Miami Beach if you have $1 million, probably find a beautiful continual care community down there. But you just have to decide where you're going to live, what can you afford, and then see what's available in that area. And for us, Greenwood Village, I mean, we did look at a couple other facilities, and they're nice, but this was just as nice, just as affordable, maybe nicer, more affordable, and right where we wanted to live. So do your homework, but think about it. Take some action. Don't keep putting it off. That's the tendency, I think, human nature will put it off. Maybe next year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, well, and so many of our dear friends say, well, I'm just not ready yet. I'm just not ready yet. And I told a very dear friend a month ago, I said, you're not ready yet. If you're going to be ready in 2 years, you're not going to find something on the spot in 2 years. You need to be doing your homework now and making plans. You can always change your plans, but you need a plan. And you need the plan when you don't need it. You need the plan before you need it, because you need it in 30 seconds.
Yep.
And a very wonderful woman, Wise, who lived here many years, member of our church, Maxine, and she was in her 90s, mid-90s, and we visited her often, and I said, Maxine, we're thinking about Greenwood Village, about moving here. And she said, oh, good, move here sooner than later. And I said, Maxine, what is later? Sooner than later. Tell me what that means. What age? And she said, Judy, move by the time you're 70. If you wait until after 70, physically, emotionally, mentally, everything is just more difficult. And you will be able to enjoy the amenities, more amenities, if you come younger. So my advice is that you move here by 70, which is why Mike agreed, because he highly respected Maxine. And he said, okay, 70, that's it. And we're so glad we did that. And we have dear friends in their 80s who are really struggling with the decision to make. And we had planned with our home that we had. We lived there 22 years, and we thought, we'll just get in-home health care. We can do that. This is going to be our own retirement place right here. But the lawn is still there.
Yes, it
and
is.
insurance is still there. And we
And that
did
snow still falls
and
on the
snow is still
driveway.
there.
Roofs need repair.
And I did the math. Mike and I, we wrote down all of our expenses in our house, considering, and then wrote down what we would pay in a year. What are we really paying to keep stay in this house? What are we going to be paying at GVS? It was it was there, and we have so much more here.
Yeah. There's
So much more.
the psychological concept of price versus value, and too often people look at a price as this solitude variable, when in reality it's the price compared to the benefits that you receive. And when you look at something, and well, the dollars are pretty similar, but this benefit is significantly higher. The value shoots up. And so that would be something I would add is look at the value.
Yes.
Look at the value and what's important to you. So I'm curious to know because, and Mike, this is for you. You were talking about kind of your general perception of senior living prior to knowing more about Greenwood Village South. But now I would argue that you have a very intimate understanding of senior living and what it should be in a continuing care retirement community or a life plan community like Greenwood Village South. So compared to your previous general perception, compared to your intimate understanding, how far off was it?
Well, again, as a younger retiree, I just thought about activities and active life. And I mean, we have the Villages, probably the trendsetter and the place where all the retirees go to Florida. And we actually visited there. It was very nice, but you're still getting older. At some point, even that is not so attractive. And that's when I learned about continual care. I didn't understand it until I started to research it and learn about it. And it's like, wow, now that makes sense. The stages from very independent to, well, let's give up cooking, let's go live in the apartment and the dining room. And then, well, yeah, but now you've got some mobility issues, and now what do you do? And that's just aging. And so that's, I guess I pay attention to life progression, and I know that's coming. And I see it play out. You see it here. And I learned it again as a young man, picking up church people here at Greenwood Village. They were not moving so fast, some of them. And I thought, Mike, you're going to be like this man someday. So it's just you have to face reality. And continual care is the ideal solution. I know some people just want to be active, but, well, we all want to be active. But the day comes when things change. So this is the all-around best choice, in my opinion. And I don't know what else I could add to that.
Yeah, well, what I'll tell you is active is always relative compared to, it's relative to your perception at that point in time.
Right.
I would say my active when I was 21 years old is different than my active as it is today. And I think we all kind of experience that over the course of our life. Everything's relative, and we engage in different ways that are still extremely meaningful, but maybe different than they were 20, 30 years ago. And knowing that you've got something that you've got every one of those opportunities at your fingertips, regardless of the stage of your life, is pretty neat. So,
Well, prior to being here, what did I think of retirement homes, senior communities? I thought they're for old people.
yep.
My 88-year-old father would say, I don't want to be around old people. And I'm thinking, well, Mike and I are around old people because you live with us.
Like,
You don't have to be.
What are
but
you,
I
Dad?
am.
Yeah.
I'm around old people. I had a negative perception. Giving up on life, you're going into a senior community. But it was coming here often over, as I say, about 5 years marketing events, and then in visiting Pauline and knowing people that lived here, learning about what life at Greenwood Village South is. This is where I live. It's not who I am.
Absolutely.
And so many people get hung up on, I can't do that. No, it's not who you are. It's where you live. And you have more opportunities to be involved, maybe not the term active, but involved, and meet new friends. How many of us at age 76 or 80 get to meet 10 new people in a week and develop a friendship?
Yeah.
Didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
Didn't think
That's,
it was possible. And Mike, he still uses the word facility sometimes.
We call that the F word around here.
And when Karen was talking to us, he said, well, this is a nice facility. And Karen said, this is a community. We choose to. And that's what this is. It's community.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that nor perceive it prior to being here.
Yeah.
So
That's one of my big lessons living here is the community aspect. We're getting older, and yet we're all going through this stage of life together. And we do see sadness, we see death, and we see spouses have to separate, and it's like, well, it's an opportunity to be a helper, an uplifter. It's like a ministry, and I never thought of that till now I'm here, and it's like I can be with people as they go through these issues, and even if and when we go through them, there'll be people here to minister to us. And under all of that is the staff. You're all trained to deal with us. You understand our issues. You understand every aspect of aging, and that's very comforting, because the alternative is, well, go live alone, or you have nobody to help you out other than family, if you have family. Some people don't have family. I mean, that's sad. But so anyway, that's one of the things I'm learning as I live here. It's a great community as we move through this final stage of life, the aging. And
something I find phenomenal every day that I'm here. You see folks that made a very proactive decision earlier in life and have just engaged to a level that if I can achieve half of that in my lifetime, I'm going to be feeling extremely blessed. But then you see the opposite end of it, that it's a circumstantial decision rather than a desire decision.
That's right.
And it does look and feel different. So I'm curious to know, how many times have you heard, I wish I would have waited longer, versus I wish I would have moved in sooner? What's that ratio look like?
100 to 0.
I was going to say, have you ever heard the
100 to 0.
first?
I've never heard anyone say, I wish I'd waited longer.
Oh, I did it too soon.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And we know in 10 years, in our 10 years here, we've met a lot of people. Not one said, I should have waited longer.
Yeah. I've also never heard that, and I've been exposed and actually asked that question very specifically quite a few times. So I love that. And to your point, Mike, I think I would imagine both of you agree emphatically with me in this belief that one of the greatest gifts that we can receive is being able to give to others, or be there in fellowship and ministry and just support.
Right.
There is a very life-filling sentiment in being able to offer that, and you clearly have cracked the code and have benefited from that tremendously in your lifetime. So just phenomenal. So we got some last things to kind of wrap up here. One of the most important ones is, Judy, you've alluded that Mike golfs quite a bit. So
he golfs with Greenwood Village South.
Yes. He does, but I'm curious. This is one of the most important questions. What's his handicap?
I don't know.
Maybe we defer to Mike on that one.
I don't know. I'm the wife that says, what was your best shot?
yeah, she does.
Oh, I love that. You don't even care what. Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't know.
It's more fun
best
remembering the one shot out of 80 or 85.
Exactly. What was the best?
Makes the
Well,
day
then
worthwhile.
you're already just beating me to death on the golf course, because I've broke 100 twice in my life, and I was playing out of my mind. I usually end up losing about 12 balls on an 18-hole course, and I usually have one shot that's the one I want to talk about, and I typically do talk about it even when people don't ask me.
Well, the reason you're such a nice guy, you don't play golf all the time. That's why.
That's
You're a happy,
true.
jovial man. So. Yeah, don't take up golf. I just like being outdoors. I'm an Army guy. I like being out, and it's 4 or 5 hours out in the sun is great, because then you come home to Greenwood Village and it's happy hour.
Yes,
so clean up.
I love it.
We've had 54 years of wonderful marriage, because throughout all those years, I rarely saw Mike before noon.
Oh, that's the secret.
Yeah.
That's the
and
secret.
when we were working, I didn't see him until maybe 5 p.m. because he would get up and
Early.
go to work
be out the
early.
door, yeah.
So it would be 5 p.m. So just happy didn't. Now we get to spend.
So I got
more
to take
time
notes. No contact before noon.
There you go.
I'll get some more hints from you later. So last question, each of you here, kind of our signature question on the show. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
that I have loved and served well.
I love that. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're well on your way for leaving that mark. So keep
Michael?
doing what you're doing.
Well, you have time to reflect when you're old, and I thought, gee, all my manly goals I never achieved. I never became a general in the Army, and I didn't who's who in business. But what I did achieve, I think, was hopefully a good husband, a good father to my children, hopefully a good grandfather these days. And so that would be what I hope I'm remembered for, just a good man.
Pretty admirable goal.
Yeah.
I
Took
am
a lifetime to figure that out.
yeah. Well, and I'm blessed with the benefit of having exposure, all the time. That's really what's the most important. But I do have a question for you, and every time I've asked this question, I've gotten the same answer, which has me looking forward to being a grandfather. So having 3 kids of my own, being a father is just a phenomenal feeling that brings me so much joy. But I just keep hearing that being a grandparent's that much better. Is it true?
It is amazing. It's life. It's your children, your little girl or your son. All of a sudden, their parents they give birth to children. It's like, my gosh, this is life playing out. So they don't teach you how to be a grandparent when you're in school. Nobody teaches you this, but you learn it if and when you get there. If you're blessed to get there, and it's just a wonderful thing. You can help them and encourage them and watch them grow up, but you don't have to do it 24 hours.
Yeah,
so the parents get to do.
Yeah, you get shoving back when you're done.
Yeah,
And that's true.
so,
One
hey,
of the
Greenwood
best
Village
things.
shuts down. It's happy hour's over. It's time you kids go home.
Yeah.
One of the best things of being a grandparent is leaning back, as I saw my mother do and my grandmothers do, leaning back and watching the flesh of my flesh nurture her flesh.
Yeah.
It's big. It's bigger than spending weekends and sending them home, but just leaning back and watching and seeing the flesh of your flesh nurture. It's powerful.
That's pretty phenomenal. So I just, not a lot of people say this, but I'm looking forward to being a grandfather for that reason in and of itself. So I want to express just extreme and sincere gratitude to both of you, not just for, coming and sharing your insights on the show today, but just everything that you have been and done and do and are for Greenwood Village South. So thank you for that, and thank you for today. Really appreciate it, and we might be tapping you on the shoulder for a future episode.
Oh, good, because I was going to tell you that I'd be really happy to come back for another episode on activities.
Okay.
And how
all right.
we get engaged and how we're involved in all the fun things that we do here.
We could do a fun one too. Maybe we do a happy hour episode one day.
Oh my gosh!
Out on the village green. We could get the IT.
The happy hour crowd's
We've had
growing.
10
I
years
know
of
it is.
fun activities.
I know it is, and you're
it's
starting to
fun.
draw people from every direction.
Yeah,
What's
we're getting a real reputation.
This is actually something really cool. What's the age range of happy hour?
Bob Guster started it.
Age range?
Yeah,
He's
what's the age
95,
range
so.
of common or reoccurring participants? Because I have a feeling it's over 30 years from the youngest participant to the oldest.
Yeah.
Yes.
The age
yes.
range.
Yeah.
Over 30 years.
Yes. Over 30 years
truly
from the youngest, because
two different generations when you think
I
about
think so,
it. That's
Yes,
that's
true.
pretty cool. 2 generations of residents engaging in the
They are
same
beautiful.
community consistent. I mean, when you think about that, where do you see that? You simply don't.
And you see grandparents in schools, they'll say, grandparents, do you want to kind of adopt a child to be your grandchild because the child doesn't have? Well, there are younger people here who have, they are playing the role of children to seniors here who don't have children nearby.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
What I think is amazing is, when residents move in, once they get settled, I have a meeting and just, kind of ask them, how has the transition been? Where are we really, doing great, and what do you love, and where do we have opportunities to improve? And almost 100% of the time, the first thing that folks say about what they love is the employees. the staff. I love they just create this connection, and what I share with them, and I'm sharing with you now. I promise you are giving them just as much, if not more, than you're receiving from that relationship. Watching, I see, 16, 17, 18-year-old dining room servers engaged with folks at a level that I don't think they've ever been exposed to in their life, and at a depth that they've never been exposed to. And so just know that they're getting just as much, if not more, benefit out of that reciprocal relationship as you are. So it's a beautiful thing to see. Again, thank you both so much. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. So.